Hello students, this is Waqar Ahmed, your economics teacher from Cambridge International School, Dasua. And in today's class, we will continue chapter number 12, balance of payment. So before moving on to the new topics, let us recap or recall the topics discussed in the previous class. So first and foremost, balance of payment. It refers to the annual financial statement of all types of economic transactions between the residents of a country and rest of the world. These residents include citizen, firms and government agencies. And as far as these economic transactions are concerned, these can be categorized into import and export of goods, import and export of services, unilateral transfers and capital transactions. Then comes balance of trade, which basically is a part of BOP, whereas BOP includes the transactions of goods plus services plus unilateral transfers plus capital transactions. In BOT, we consider only the transactions regarding goods. So, BOT refers to the difference between the amount of export and import of visible items. BOT is export of goods minus import of goods. And here we can discuss one more thing about BOT. As you can see on your screen, BOT is export of goods minus import of goods. So, there will arise three situations. First, BOT will be balanced, export is equal to import. Then there may be a surplus BOT, means exports are more and imports are less, and in the end there may be a deficit in BOP, which is generally known as trade deficit, and it occurs when exports are less and imports are more for any economy. And as you must be aware, this third category is generally the case with our economy, Indian economy. We generally import more goods than we export. So, there is always kind of a trade deficit or imbalanced BOT as far as Indian economy is concerned. Now, as we discussed in the last class as well, there are generally millions and millions of transactions between so many nations. So, how to prepare a financial statement or how to treat every transactions into different account is the question which arises. Now, as far as IMF or International Monetary Fund is considered, all transactions under BOP according to IMF should be recorded in three accounts. First, current account, then capital account and third, financial account. But as you can see on your screen, financial account is not used by RBI. So, we will talk only about current account and capital account. And as far as now the question will arise that where does we put the transactions or the business of financial account. So, the practice is in India that we club financial account and capital account together and name that as capital account. So, we will be studying only about current account and capital account. And before moving on to the explanation of current account and capital account, I would like you to remind or keep in mind that BOP consists of four type of transactions: goods, services, unilateral transfer or transfer payments and capital transactions. So, it is basically a very easy thing. Why? Because we put goods plus services plus transfer payments into current account and we are left with capital transactions. We prepare capital account for capital transactions. So, I think it must be clear to you. In current account, we will record the transactions related to goods plus services plus transfer payments, and in capital account we will record transactions related to capital nature. So, as you can see in this diagram or picture, that current account consists of three type of transactions. First, trade in goods, second, trade in services, and third, transfer payments. And further, trade in goods is of two types. We import goods into our country and we export goods from our country, and the difference between export and import is known as balance of trade. So, trade in goods is the balance of trade part of BOP account. Then comes trade in services. This trade in services is of two types. First, net factor income, and second, net non factor income. And you should remember, then when we use word net, that means it is the difference between incoming and outgoing, or inflow and outflow of money. So, if I am saying net factor income, which can further be classified into two types. First is net income from compensation of employees, and second is net investment income. So, net factor income, or to be specific, net income from compensation of employees means that all those Indian residents who are working abroad, they will send money into the India, inflow of money, and all those foreigners who are working in India, they will send money back to their home countries. So, that will be the outflow of currency. So, the difference between inflow from COE minus outflow from COE will be net income from COE. Now, net investment income. Net investment income means whatever investment have been made by resident Indians in rest of the world. So, the income received as dividend, profit, interest, that is inflow of currency, minus whatever investments have been made by foreigners into India. So, we will pay them interest, dividend, profit. So, this net investment income will be what is left after outflows, means inflow of investment income minus outflow of investment income. Then comes net non factor income, and it is also a big part as far as Indian economy is considered, because it includes payment made and received on account of providing services or on account of using services. So, let us say Indian software companies or Indian banking sector or Indian shipping industry provide its service to rest of the world and receive money, inflow of money, minus Indian industries use softwares, banking facility or shipping facility from rest of the world, which will result in outflow of money. So, this inflow of money minus outflow of money will result in net non factor income. Now, third is transfer payments, and these transfer payments are basically those payments which are made or received without any activity, like gifts, remittances, grants. So, all those types of payments received, again inflow of money, minus all these types of transfer payments made, outflow of money. The difference between both of these inflow and outflow will be the transfer payment, which will be recorded in current account. So, this basically is the explanation of this diagram. So, now this is basically the written explanation of the diagram we just discussed, but let us repeat it for the sake of memorization. So, current account consists of three parts. First is trade in goods, in which we register all the trades related to import and export of goods. The second part is trade in services, which includes net factor income and net non-factor income. Now, this net factor income includes net international earnings of all factors of production, and we know that factors of production are land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. So, whatever earnings they made, whatever net earnings they made from rest of the world is recorded in trade in services, first part. Then second is net investment income, which we receive like interest, profit, dividend, and I have highlighted this. Our assets abroad means whatever interest, profit and dividend income we are earning minus for foreign assets here in India, whatever they are earning as interest, dividend and profit from here, the difference will be considered as net investment income. Then third or the second part is net non-factor income, which include the net income on account of services. And third is transfer payment. Transfer payment include all receipts received by residents of a country without having to provide any good or services. So, basically, and why are we saying them unilateral transfers? Because these are one-sided payments. They are not to be returned, they do not create any liability, and we have not provided any type of goods or services against these incomes. And I have got a very famous or popular example. Some of your relatives or family members are settled or working in North America, Canada, Italy, Spain or other parts of the world. So, whatever income they earn there and the part which they send back to India to the family is remittance, against which the family has not done or provided any good or services. Family is not liable to pay back this money. So, this money is not creating any liability. So, all these types of income which are generally known as gifts, grants, remittances. So, all these are transfer payment. So, remember current account include trade in goods, trade in services and transfer payments. Now comes capital account, and capital account records all transactions of capital nature, meaning all those transactions which results in change in asset or liability in an economy. Like current account, it can be subdivided into three parts: foreign investment, external borrowings and external assistance. Foreign investment can further be divided into two parts: direct investment and portfolio investment. Direct investment refers to that investment which gives direct control over the asset purchased by foreign buyer, and FDI is a very famous example of direct investment. FDI means foreign direct investment, means a foreign company comes into India and purchases a company, purchases a showroom or starts its own subsidiary or takes a controlling stake into any Indian company. And Walmart paying $16 billion to Flipkart just 2-3 years earlier is a very famous example of foreign direct investment, because by paying so many dollars, Walmart has management control over Flipkart. Now, Walmart decides how the Flipkart will work. So, direct control, direct investment. And as far as portfolio investment is concerned, it is just the opposite of direct investment. Means here the buyer do not have any control over the asset it is buying or purchasing, and FII or foreign institutional investors are a very famous example of portfolio investment. And basically this portfolio investment or the money coming through this route goes to the stock market of a country. So, it is not considered a stable investment, and that is why some pink papers or business papers call it hot money or hot dollars, because as and when the situation gets worse or the situation turns negative, all these FII pulls their money from the stock market and goes back to their own country. So, it is not considered a very attractive or very good investment for any economy. So, the basic difference between direct and portfolio is direct investment gives direct control, and portfolio investment do not give any kind of control over the asset bought by the person or company. Now, external borrowings, and as you can have an idea from the name, external borrowing basically is the borrowing which is done by individuals, firms or government from rest of the world. That is external borrowing, it is evident from the name. And external assistance, external assistance is basically a borrowing, a type of borrowing in which some conditions are provided which make this borrowing easier than external borrowing. So, external borrowing is like borrowing from market, and external assistance is like borrowing from some multilateral agencies like IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, or bilateral agencies like India directly borrowing from Federal Reserve or Central Bank of US on some concessional conditions. So, the difference between external borrowing and external assistance is external borrowing is done on market rate without any concession, and external assistance is a borrowing with some concessions provided. What are those concessions? We will be discussing further. Now, the explanation part of capital account, and as you can see that, or as we have just discussed, foreign investment include direct and portfolio investment. Direct investment gives direct control, portfolio investment do not give any type of control to the buyer. Then external borrowing or commercial borrowing refers to the borrowing by a country from international money market on market conditions, market rate of interest without any concession. Then comes external assistance, which is basically external borrowing with some concessions, with some assistance, means low rate of interest or a long moratorium period. Moratorium means repayment period or the time when payment start. For example, I will give you an example to make you understand both these external borrowings and external assistance. This Delhi Metro Rail Corporation DMRC Limited is basically funded by Japanese government. Japanese government has given around 40 billion US dollars help to establish this DMRC or Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. So, what is the benefit of Japanese government and what is the benefit to Indian government? Let us take an holistic overview. India's benefit is that it has reduced the use of personal vehicles in NCR, which has resulted in decrease in pollution first. Second, millions and millions of people can access value for money international standard transportation facility. And third, it has increased the rate of properties around metro rail, which has increased or which has given birth to a lot of new businesses. These are three evident benefits to Indian government. Now, Japanese government has given $40 billion on a condition that first 20 years no payment will be made by Indian government other than the interest. This is known as moratorium period, and this is external assistance, because if you will go to any other company, any other bank, they will start charging you principal plus interest from day one. Japanese government is not asking for the principal amount for the first 20 years, means our repayment will start from the 21st year. This is an example of external assistance. Now, as far as the benefit to Japanese government is considered, Japanese government have been able to provide business to Japanese companies, because most of the work, whether that is construction work, that is engineering work, that is transmission and electrification of work, all the major contracts are with Japanese companies. So, Japanese money remained in Japan, and the Japanese companies got business, India got its world class metro rail system. So, it is kind of a win-win situation, although we were talking about external assistance. So, this is an example of external assistance in which a foreign government, foreign agency, foreign bank gives loan on concessional terms and conditions, that is assistance. If market rate is charged, then it is borrowing. So, now as you can see on your screen, the difference between current account and capital account. So, till now I assume that you have got a fairly good idea of what is a capital account and what is a current account. So, let us talk about it. Capital account is that account which records all transactions related to goods, services and unilateral transfers, whereas capital account is that account which record all transactions related to capital nature. The main components of current account are trade in goods, trade in services and transfer payments, whereas the main components of capital account are foreign investment, external borrowing and external assistance. Then if there is deficit in current account, it informs us that we have imported more goods and services than what we have exported, whereas a deficit in capital account informs us that the inflow of currency on account of different capital transactions is less, whereas the outflow of currency is more. Then current account is a flow concept, because it records all items of flow nature, whereas capital account is of stock nature, because it records all transactions of stock nature. Then goods like steel and soft services like software are recorded in current account, whereas purchase of a house abroad or purchase of shares abroad are an example of capital account. So, that is it for today, students, and I would like you to inform one or two things. First, the participation in accountancy quiz was around 80%. So, those 20% students who have still not participated or are not participating in quizzes may or are not doing any good to themselves. It is a firm request from them, and if they are not listening to this video, and whosoever is listening can inform their friends that if they have not participated in accountancy quiz, then next quiz onwards they need to participate in every quiz. Otherwise, it is kind of not a good practice. It may affect them in their board exams. First thing. Second thing is that's it for today. Tomorrow we will start with an example of BOP, then we will calculate all the things we have studied up to now, means we will apply the knowledge of the two videos in our next video, and then we will see that how if BOP is not in balance, how it is balanced, and what is the role of RBI, means central government, in balancing BOP. So, till then, stay healthy, stay inside, stay safe. Bye.